Okay, folks, good evening. Let's get this all squared away, pointed the direction we need to point. Okay, let's try it again. Oh, this is in the wrong place. We need to get rid of that. Anyhow, we're going to back on our finishing up our Shermans. And we'll kind of do a quick rundown of where we left off. One, two, these three, and let me brighten this up a little bit. It's a little on the dull side. I don't know why this is so finicky. Let's bring it up a little bit. See how that looks. Okay. Yeah, we got one that's a little browner. That's this guy right here. And so we put the decals on there. And that's where you see the little glossy spots on there. That's where we glossed over the decals. So this guy is good to go. These we have to paint some smaller spots on them. And these decals are super, super thick. And I thought maybe I was doing something wrong, but the last time I put decals on my Russian vehicles, they went on spotless. So I look up this decal brand, Petting House, and sure enough, they have a habit of being super, super thick. So if I would have known that, I probably wouldn't have gone with them for the stars. So I'm going to have to order more because I've gone through just about all the stars that I have, but I'm probably not going to reorder these, because they are super thick. And the first thing that surprised me is that they're all on one sheet. I've always used decals, like if it's a round circle, if it's like a round star or whatever, it's already like round, and you peel the round thing off, not make it whatever shape you want. That's kind of lazy, honestly. But we need to paint some handles here. And I believe we're using the wet palette. That was working out a little bit better for us. So let's do that. Let's get rid of this mouse. We don't have space for that. And I believe we're using beige brown for this, but there should still be some alive. Maybe. I see it there. Whether or not it's alive is a different matter. course, just get a brush we can count on, which sometimes is easier said than done. And then we got this little shovel handle here. And an axe handle. Let's just stay on the one instead of flipping between them. Let's lighten this up. Lighten up, pal. I guess some of these tools, if they were spray painted on the vehicle, they could be the core color of the vehicle. I've seen that, I think, with like German tools that repainted the vehicle, and they've got these tools, for instance, that there's a certain spot that they fit on there. They get bolted down, and they bolt them down, and they just spray the whole thing, and the tools just end up being the same color as the tank. Yeah, it looks lazy. That looks like, you didn't want to paint them, so. Seems like a cop-out to me, whether or not that happened in real life or not. Just seems that you'd look at them and that's the first thing you'd think of is somebody doesn't have any colors to paint it. Just looks wrong. So, don't want to give that impression. Well, that's awfully bright. Simmer that down a little bit. Okay, now we're going to grab some, that's just black on. Let's grab some of that metallic and paint those metal pieces, and that'll be done. Yeah, I just didn't get a chance to do it. My neck was kind of hurting. Did a lot of work around the house on Sunday. And that and all the painting that I did probably wasn't good for my posture. But One person, welcome. Whoever you might be. I always like it like the loudest vehicle that goes up and down the road is like a motorcycle. Okay. And this is the greener one, right? Yep. Okay. Okay. That pretty much settles that. This turret looks so freaking big. I mean, it's a bigger gun, but it's not that much of a bigger gun. The breech and so forth. It's only 1 millimeter bigger. I don't see what the problem is. 75, 76, what's the difference? Yeah, I'm sure it's got a bigger breech. I was watching a video the other day. That little box that's on the back of the Firefly turret, I didn't know that the reason for that was that. Hey Nordic, welcome. Was for the extra recoil, the 17 pounder. And that's where they ended up putting a radio in it. They put the radio back there. I didn't know. So I literally cut out the back of the turret and welded an extra piece on there. Okay, so she's done. So now we do the other M4A1. Of course, we'll need to paint little things on there as well. Let's just go ahead and get the shovel stuff out of the way. And I'm going to use a different brush because I've gotten through so many stars, I almost have to buy more stars. And somebody asked me, it's like, so if you're working on a skirmish game, why are you building so many tanks? It's because I got them. That's what I'm gonna. That's why. If I don't paint them now, when the hell am I gonna paint them? So. It's not small enough. It's almost time to order some more brushes. See if I can't whittle this one down to a usable size here. Usable end on it. soon as I finish dinner, I'll be painting Lend-Lease honeys for North Africa. Yes! Those things are cute. You gonna use the counter scheme for them? That's that crazy quilt-like camouflage that the British use in the desert, which I think is pretty cool. I don't know if it was very effective, but maybe it was just to make it look like it can't be a tank. Oh, that's no pot. What is that? Oh, there's no way that's a tank. It wouldn't be that color. Yes, you are. Excellent. I think it look awesome. I think honeys are awesome. So, you're doing them in 285th, right? You know, they make a skirmish campaigns book for North Africa. It must be like a lot of terrain, or there must be night actions or something like that. Contour. It's actually, somebody told me this, Caunter, and it's named after someone. I didn't know that. And supposedly there's some controversy behind it, or I didn't know there was any controversy behind it. It has no blue in it. It's actually a type of a gray or whatever. But, you know, if you painted it blue, everybody knows what it is, because it's one of those things. But hey, they're your miniatures. You can paint them however the hell you want. You can paint them however the hell you want to make you happy. If somebody don't like them, F them. It's your miniatures. Could he use gray, blue, and intermediate blue? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked into it at all, but I certainly like that scheme. Classic for honeys and Matildas. So, I found out in doing some research on these M4A1 wet stowage that the Second Armor Division ended up using camouflaged tanks in Normandy. They were like green with like black overspray on them. But the thing is to do that, then they don't have any stars showing it because it defeats the purpose. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I want to put some stars on, but I wanted them to look different. Like this one's got the Realmer on the front. This one it's going to have nothing on the front, even though I gloss coated. I changed my mind. This has nothing on the sides. This one has 2 on the sides. So I made them a little different from each other. So I actually really like the way these Vallejo colors dry brushed on there really well. I don't miss not having an airbrush because I feel like I got just as good results. Now I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the same thing with the German colors from MIG, but because they're kind of watery, but I got a lot of confidence in how these have turned out. I'm basically really happy with how they turned out. So, that's really going to make me want to do more of them. So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be doing any 15s the rest of the year. Oh, yeah, we're falling asleep. We might have to get some coffee. What time is it? Tell you what, let me go get some coffee. I'll be right back. No time to sleep. Yeah. So today was kind of a memorable day. I was going to make a video about it, and then I'm like, nah, I'm not going to make a video about it. People figure out on their own. Today's the first day I decided I'm not making any DBA 3.0 more DBA 3.0 videos. It's time to not do that anymore. So, if you enjoyed those, I'm sorry. Just the situation changed. It has nothing to do with people. It has nothing to do with the people that I play with. Just, I'm tired of fighting with the damn rules. I'm tired of, I've played over like 2,500 games, and there's still stuff that we struggle to look for because it's impossible to find in the damn rules. So, I'm also not going to organize any more DBA stuff. No more filming. No more filming DBA 3.0. No. No, I've done enough. I actually got soured by a lot of things, and one guy pushed me over the edge today, and I was already on the fence anyways. So that doesn't mean we're not filming other stuff that we do. It's just not doing that. I'm tired of looking up stuff and how do you use a built-up area and you freaking and all this stuff that's in the rules that doesn't make sense to anybody and you have to play them. It's just too much. It's just too much trouble. That with my workload at work, it's just too stressful. So other people can pick up the torch and run DBA at our events. I'm not giving up on Ancients. I'm just not playing DBA, and I'm also not going to play anything that's already out there. There's nothing out there that's going to really scratch the itch because they all have really similar problems. So who knows what the future will bring, but it's an empty slate at this point. It does not affect any of the armies that I do. Anything that I'll do will use the same armies. So, got some stuff we've been kind of in the works, and we'll just see where that goes. But I almost basically just walked away from the last con. I was just tired of doing. I was tired of doing the awards. I was tired of being tortured by how the rules are organized. I don't necessarily have a problem with any of the stuff in the rules. It's just that, how it's organized. And doing all the heavy lifting, organizing the tournaments, reminding everybody, like, hey, there's a tournament coming. Really? When is it? When the fuck do you think it is? It's the same con as twice a year. Last weekend in April, last weekend in September. Not necessarily the people that play with me every week, because they're kind of, in the know, but just other folks. And, do the awards, do the score sheets, finish the army, run around like a maniac at the last minute. I'm done with that. So somebody else can do the awards and all that stuff and do that. I've been doing it for 18 years. It's plenty. So it doesn't mean we won't paint ancients. It doesn't mean we won't play ancients at some point in the future. But 10-4, 10-4-22. Not gonna do it anymore. Tired of some things. So it's got nothing to do with any of the people. And it doesn't have to do with any of the gaming. And actually, the gaming last night, the filming went really well. With 3 people, it's like, okay, there's only 3 of us, and everything worked out really well. But just need to go in a different direction. It's less work. You got problems that crop up, and there's no way to solve them because it's always the same thing. So. There's got to be something that's going to be easier to teach people how to play an Ancients game. So, and I'm also kind of moving away from doing a tournament type thing. This is the only game I've ever played that's a tournament, and it has nothing to do with being competitive. I'm always competitive, but I'm not really that interested in that aspect of it as much as something that develops a narrative, so to speak. So, lack game partners. Need to do both sides for a game. Lack of motivation is tough to get over. Found I can get my game fixed. Hex encounter games. Artistic itch with model building. Yep. Yeah, it needs to be, it's your hobby. You can do what you want to with it, And it's real frustrating. No matter how much you do, they want you to do more. Hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you film this way? Why don't you fucking do something? Instead of having other people that are already doing more than anybody else do more. It's a long time coming. It's not something that happened overnight. It's got nothing necessarily to do with the people playing with, I had a great time at the con, but I could have had a great time at the con not playing any games too, So. Honestly, one of the defining moments was Historicon. We're busting our ass to try to get everybody to play the same way, and nobody can be bothered to come and play the game. Well, it's like, well, fuck it, then we'll just stop trying to shoehorn everything that we're trying to do for the greater good if the greater good isn't going to come out and play the game, Yeah, Historicon, the main thing was like, you know, we can just do whatever the hell we want here. It's not gonna. You ruined it all. You ruined the Eastern the DBA game in the eastern part of the U.S. We are the DBA gaming in the eastern part of the U.S., so whatever we do will work. I was tempted to try and go to Storicon just to game with you guys, but those plans didn't manifest. Yeah, I'll go again. I just won't go to run anything. I don't think I'm going next year because we'll be out of the country. But that doesn't mean filming's gone, because going and doing the fucking battleship and the walk-arounds, that stuff's fun as shit. That's a lot of fun. And I think that's useful for a lot of folks, you know. Okay, so the tools are... Oh, no, they're not. No, they're not. Get ahead of yourself. And people brought up some questions to me. So I'm like, I got the fact group to meet. And then we met and went over some stuff. And it's been like 2 months and they still haven't come to a resolution or printed. And I'm like, I'm tired of these problems that I can't solve. I can't solve them in the format that it's in right now. You know, it's just another bullshit thing like the stuff that happens at work that you can't solve. That'll always be a problem. And I'm like, I'm just not willing to make that, you know, how my hobby is going to be. You know, so I want something that's like, you know, this doesn't work the way this rule is, so we freaking change it. And this is how it is. And it's got nothing to do with Phil Barker. I think the world of him. I think he's a genius. I just think that, you know, it's not his job to be recruiting people for his game, so he's not the one being tortured by, you know, the awkwardness of what the rules are, regardless of how good they might be. You know, if the rules are so difficult that nobody can seem to play them the way the author intended, then you're really doing it a disservice, because people think your game sucks, but they're playing it wrong when it's actually quite good. So... just like when I get around to playing this. If I see something that doesn't work with these rules, they're out of freaking print, then you make them so that they're playable. You know? I have just a little experience playing war games. I think I'll be able to solve that. I have a feeling, though, I'm probably going to run these kind of like a role-playing game. And not that, you know, you're going to be doing role-playing game type stuff, but I'm going to run one side like the GM. So, what other ancient rules would you like to try if DBA is done? None. Nothing that's out there. No, nothing that's out there. One rule system is really popular, and it basically has the author of DBA stuff lifted and not given him credit. And that's the most popular game that was at Historicon. Art de la Guerre. It doesn't even mention DBA. It doesn't mention Phil Barker. And they charge for it. They created army lists that are based on Phil Barker's research. It just feels dirty. You know, if you like Art de la Guerre and want to play it, that's fine. And it doesn't solve one of the main problems I've always had with DBA. And that is the conforming thing. It seems very unnatural. It still has that. There's some cool stuff in it, but this still has that. So why go and learn something that has a problem? So, anyhow, to be continued. I don't have any ill will towards Phil Barker. I think he's, you know, if I hated him, I would like that people would be stealing shit from 'em. I just think it's dirty. It's something I would never do. It never would occur to me to do that. You know, take somebody else's ideas and charge for them. So, can't find an ancient rule you want to go with. Well, maybe wait a little bit. There's just zero timeline on it. And if I play something, it'll be on the same scale of DBA. It's not going to be like, 30 stands. It's going to be like, 12, 11 to 14, 15 stands for, and more scenario driven than anything else. I want to play the games, for instance, when you're playing against someone and you see something really cool and you tell them, hey, why don't you do this? Because this would be really beneficial for you, even if it's a catastrophe for your own side, because it builds a good narrative and they learn how to play. Not like, spanking somebody, they don't learn anything. So, I mean, it may not benefit. Some people might just be uber competitive and they may not like that, but it's kind of like I do in the videos. I tell everybody what I'm doing because, who cares? It helps people's understanding. Ever since I started doing that, people stopped asking me what I was going to do. I'm telling you why I'm doing it. Yeah. No, I totally understand the multiple sides. That's what drew me to this to begin with. You know. So. I'm not scared of calling things how they see them. Somebody steals somebody's work, I'm going to call them out on them. I don't give a shit. We're not doing that. Well, stop doing it so I'd not call you out on it. And again, if you're happy playing what you're happy playing, play what you're happy playing with. You got to play what people in the area are playing, you know? Likewise, if everybody in Florida continues to play 3.0 without me, cool. Have fun. I had a great time with it. I played it for 18 freaking years. Well, not 3.0, but all versions of it. Have fun with it. At this point, whatever I play will have the same army list, so it's not like it's really going to keep me from building armies, I just want to get some of these tanks done right now. Gotta paint the box on here and with olive drab color. Thanksgiving is on the horizon. There you go. And I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that I'm working on tanks right now. Like I said, it's been a long time coming. At least 5 years, I'd say. So, and it just got to the point where I just don't want to. I don't want to look up things at 10 o'clock at night after we played the game thousands of times and we just can't effing get it. I'm just tired of that. Let somebody else do it. I first started running games at a show because the guy that was running the games at the show was going out of state for, I want to say a reunion, a high school reunion or something like that. And if I didn't run something, we were going to get stuck with no events at the show. And at the time, I didn't have a local player. So, you know, you only get a chance twice a year to play this game. And I'm like, well, F that. I've run games before. I just never run a tournament game. So how difficult could it be? And it wasn't that difficult, but it's another thing you got to do. You know, 3 days before the show, I got to make the awards and the sheets and all that stuff. And it's just, I didn't want to do it. I wasn't going to leave everybody hanging because that's not how I am. I'm not a person that says I'm going to do one thing and do something different, but I think it's high time for jump off the wagon. Okay. Let's do the same thing with this one, but it's a different green. I already have some of that on there, but I want to know where I got this metallic shit off of it. Must be that crappy Games Workshop tops. Get stuff all over you. Just remember, tuck and roll when you hit the ground after jumping off the wagon, yeah. You have the same problem with Magic the Gathering. It's a long time coming for me to walk away from the game and sell my stuff. Kept a few decks, but I'm in the mindset of just getting rid of them. You know, sometimes when you have too much stuff, you need to be more minimalist. You know, like I had a bunch of articles. I had a bunch of old articles for DBA that were from an old version of DBA that I hadn't looked at in 15 years. I threw them all away. I know where to find them if I need them. I don't need them. So I got rid of a lot of paper about a month ago. I'm like, I'm not going to need these again. You know, it's like, wait. You know, we collect too much shit. So, you know, I want to get more stuff, but I'm not going to let myself do it until I get through some of this stuff. So. Why can't I find... because it's over here. Thinking of selling some miniatures and then Magic the Gathering cards on eBay. Yeah. Well, if you never plan on playing Magic the Gathering, I don't have Magic the Gathering stuff to sell. I sold all my ships. I had 500, 2400 scale ships, and I sold them about 10 years ago. And I don't regret it at all. Mainly because, not that I didn't love them, but I didn't like how they were painted. And if I really wanted to get into it, it just became like, okay, I can paint a little bit better now. So do I repaint everything that I have, or just say F it and get rid of them? And luckily, they were all GHQ, and I turned a profit on them. Only because the price of the lead was, some of them I sold basically if they hadn't been painted. You know, but... So in other words, I bought them when they were like $5 a piece. And then they went up to 12, and I sold them for 12 kind of thing. So I think that's pretty fair. I just didn't want to look at them again. You know, sometimes you just got to cleanse yourself of all these problems that you might have with, you know, starting a bunch of things at once. When I got rid of my 1/35th scale models, I threw away so many 1/35th scale models that were, I don't know about so many, maybe 25 or something like that. They were half-ass started. I just didn't want to look at them anymore. You know, I was never going to work on them. I didn't have any incomplete, any, you know, I kept all these guys. Well, not this, because this isn't one of them. This is actually one of the estate sale ones. And never looked back. I don't want to sell stuff on eBay, though. I don't want to go to the post office. I don't want to go to the post office ever again if I could help it. A miserable fucking place. And like I've said before, I can only go during holy hour. That's my lunchtime. I don't want to do that. All right. Maybe bring it up a little bit more. My original squad leader, I ended up selling the board separate and took the rest of the game and threw it away. I didn't really feel that bad about it. Same thing, somebody had given me a garage sale copy of Luftwaffe. Never played it. I don't know if it was all complete. Couldn't sell it on eBay because nobody's going to pay just the shipping on it. Didn't have anybody to give it to. Threw it away. You know, I haven't thrown very many things away like that, but, you know, sometimes you just got to get them out of your life to be able to breathe. Well, you can walk to the post office and turn around and walk back home. I just don't want to deal with the people there. Just don't want to deal with them. Walk to the what are you doing? Walking to the post office. What are you going to do when you get there? Walk back. Nice. Nice. All right. Let's do the easy one first. When in doubt, do the easy stuff first. The rewards are worth more than the counters, I think, for ESL. Yep. Yep. And that was squad leader, the original squad leader. I was never going to play it again. I was going to play it. I played the advanced one. I would never get into it again. It's just it's a great. I've had some great games with it. I just don't like it's too structured. The turn mechanic. Okay, we got some tarps here. We painted any of those? Something like that? No. No, just for consistency. No, I guess not. Okay, cool. Clean slate. Let's paint these a lighter color. Let me get my glasses so I can find myself. Well, if you find that funny, you will find this funny. I walk up to a trail through the woods, and I stop and turn around and go back down the hill and repeat the journey 4 times. I never walk the path. Huh. Walk a trail through the woods, stop, turn around, go back down the hill, and repeat the journey 4 times. Yeah, it's okay. I can't do that here. There's no hills. No hills here. No, that's good. I really had a really weird dream. And I had a dream about somebody I've never had a dream about. Simmer down. It wasn't that exciting. But I had a dream with Joel, Mitch's friend Joel. He was, he lives kind of near the Ocala forest, kind of. And I know he's into nature and stuff like that. And I was at his house, which I've never been to his house, but in this dream I was. And there was this bobcat or something like that outside. And I'm like, you got all these like wild creatures around here that are, you worry about them? They're just, I ain't worried about them. So he's up there like petting a bobcat. And another bobcat shows up. And I'm like, are you armed or anything? Like, nah, I'm leaving no guns. Or, okay. And a wolf shows up, starts freaking attacking him. And I'm just like, I think in the dream, I had access to a rifle, but it wasn't on me for whatever reason. Because I guess he had talked me into like being into the woods. But it wasn't like I could see his house. It wasn't like in the woods or something like that. So I went and grabbed the rifle, which was weird because it was like one of those side-by-side shotguns where you crack it open and you put the 2 rounds in. It was like that, but it was 2 rifle rounds. I don't know. I guess I'm just inventing my own firearms in my dreams. That'd be a really shitty firearm. 2 rifle rounds side by side. That's it, and I woke up. Yeah, I'm not walking around in the woods unarmed. Sorry. Just for creatures. I'm not worried. Not talking about people. Just stuff. Wild dogs or something like that. You get attacked by a bunch of wild dogs. What do? Play dead? No. Take those things out if they come attack you. Scattergun. Yeah, I'm not into killing creatures. I'm not but if I'm being attacked, yeah. They can become extinct as far as I'm concerned. I'm going after all of them if they're attacking me. I leave things alone. I'm not I appreciate creatures and stuff like that. What is this? Stone gray? That might actually be okay. Okay. Well, it looks like there's 2 tarps there. There's no reason why they both have to be the same color. Let's just go ahead and paint them both stone gray and maybe give one of them a little bit of a wash. I think that should be fine. Add a little bit of a color that it doesn't have. There are bears around here, and that's one reason why I don't go walking the wooded trail. I don't carry a weapon. Yeah. Yeah, even the small bears are a problem. You got to bring like a shotgun with slugs or something like that. Shotguns just don't have enough rounds in them. You get up to what? Unless it's an AR style shotgun, you get up to what, 7 rounds or something like that? That's just not enough. What if you miss? What if you miss 6 times? No. And you can't reload a shotgun fast enough. I mean, unless you're like some pro level person. So. Yeah, there's stuff goes on in the woods. I'm not talking about bad people, and you got those too. I'm talking about, just creatures that live there that, you might come across their family unintentionally and they want to defend themselves, Better bring a machine gun, yeah. If you're talking something like a grizzly, I know they don't have them where you're at. You gotta have a high power rifle. I mean, even something like an AR, an AK, that's not gonna stop one of them. You gotta have a semi-automatic shotgun with slugs, or some massive rifle that is your shoulder is gonna hate you. Or bring somebody with you that you can cripple and they can eat him instead. Sorry, pal. Yeah, go feast on him. There was Last time I went to the Smoky Mountains a couple years ago, there was, this is in an area that's relatively populated. It's not like you're in the middle of nowhere, but cars were stopped, and there was a den, and there was a mama bear with her cubs, and I mean, they're really adorable. They were far enough away, but you need to leave the creatures alone, man. Rattlesnakes, I ain't scared of no snake. Yeah, walking in an area where a bear keeps her cubs is a worst case scenario. Yeah, you can't win. And look, if I knew that something was there, I'd leave them alone because I'm not like, I mean, that's their land. I don't need to intrude on their stuff, but accidents happen, and the next thing you know, you got a problem on your hands. Yeah, rattlesnakes don't scare me. I don't go looking for them, but they won't attack you unless you leave them a way out. Don't corner them, and you should be all right. Unless you got one that's on crack or something like that. Welcome, Doug. I'm a devout pacifist, but somebody's going to try to kill me. I'm going to try to kill him first. Sorry. You started it, pal. I've been asked to go hunting so many times. I got no interest. Well, I got to go hurt a creature. They don't even taste good. Why I got to go hurt a creature? I'm fine if other people want to do it. It's just not my thing. Hunting, not interested. You want to go shoot guns? Sure. Let's go kill some cardboard. No problem. There's only one cardboard thing I like. This thing right here that I paint on. We can exterminate the other cardboards. Oh no, my black's dead. Let's get another one out here. Good to see you after Ian went through your area. Well, see, that's it. It didn't go through my area. Would you believe we didn't even get a drop of rain? It's the weirdest freaking thing. Now, the place where we used to go for 4th of July 5 years in a row is where it landed. And if there had been a war there, they would have been better off. It is devastating. It is, I think that's an understatement, is devastating. So it kind of went, I don't think it was anywhere near closer than 4 hours from us, the way the crow flies. So, but that is the thing about this area, is they don't come here. But I've never had a storm come nearby that we haven't gotten tons of rain. And we did lose power from some of the gusts, but there were gusts with no water. It was really, really weird. It's like the storm had the dry heaves. Really, really weird. Never happened before. But Fort Myers Beach is just devastating. And then, yeah, and people looting down there, like, and the people lost everything, and then you're going to take some more from them? With not a drop of rain. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. And it's even stranger because before it came, it was raining like every single day. Torrential lightning storms. And then the storm gets close and no rain. And it still hasn't rained. Just really weird. Been raining here since Sunday. That's how it was before the storm, man. It was like, will you please, for the love of God, make it stop raining? They did. It did. Extremist weather. But the worst thing about when a storm like that comes is the people, the way people act. Like it's the end of the world. Here, I mean, down there, it's really the end of the world. But just like pushing each other out of the way, getting into fights over gas, and it's like people just forget how to be human. It's like the freaking Walking Dead. We had days of rains here in the DC area since, but nothing major. Worst part has also been 40 degrees here both days. Oh, I love cold and wet. It was actually cool today. It was actually 55 this morning. And would you believe the candy asses at the office had the heater on? Unbelievable. They ended up warming up to 77, 78, 80, 82 or something like that. And about 10 o'clock in the morning, they had the heater at 73 on. Candy asses. And I don't mean that in a good way. Is there a good way to mean that? Heaters should be illegal in Florida. Not that I'm for things being illegal, but you get the point. So we'll get these Shermans done. Then we'll jump on the half tracks. Hopefully I got enough stars to do them all. To be continued. And then we'll paint up some bad guys to go with them. And then maybe we can do a tank on tank fight. See how these armor rules work. Alright, we definitely need a smaller brush. So let's get a brush that's a little bit more smaller. I was actually tempted to buy some in the stores and couldn't find any that weren't made where, so I didn't buy any. I don't need to give them any more of our money. Seems to bring out the best and the worst in humanity. Yeah. Yeah, I don't live in a big city, so I expect people to be civilized to each other. And when they're not, it really stands out. People don't do shit like that in the South. And I like the DC area. I wouldn't want to live there, just too much traffic and other stuff. But DC's cool. I think it's pretty cool. Last time I went there, we got into the Pentagon and everything. I still use that. It's like, I still use it. Hey, I was able to get in the Pentagon. What are you doing? My record's better than yours. They didn't let me do a video there. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. Freaking dumbass. Although I think there's some areas that shouldn't be as accessible as they are. It's just common sense, but I mean, I wasn't going to misbehave, but haven't been able to go walking 2 days. Yeah, I haven't been to the gym since Friday. I've had first a neck ache and then now a headache. It's probably in the best shape it's been in a long time. In a few days. Hope nobody lost their miniature collection or rule books because of Ian. Yeah. I mean, other than your life, it's really the hardest thing to replace. Or, pictures, family pictures, stuff like that. On the news, they were always putting, like, hey, the pier is destroyed. Who gives a shit about a pier? Nobody lives at the pier. Nobody's business is the pier. They can rebuild the pier. It's just slabs of concrete. Who gives a crap? About people that lost, like, their business and the home they live in, like double whammy. It's really sad, but it's a reminder for the rest of us not to ever live at the beach. As much as I like the beach, I do not want to live at the beach because that could happen at any moment. One time they're fine, it's going to St. Pete, and the next thing you know, 12 hours later, it's headed right towards you. And I really would love to live at the beach, but nope. It's funny, we had the one year that we had storms that came nearby and we thought we might have, tree issues or something. I took all my miniatures, put them in pans, and I put them underneath our bed in the bedroom. And, figure if something happened, they were at least protected. Whatever it was had to go through the bed too. But if we were to leave, yeah, they're coming with me. I don't have that time to replace all that stuff. That's why I couldn't live somewhere that has earthquakes. Like, no. There's one guy, it's a gamer that I heard from him today, and he was down in that area. He said he was fine and didn't suffer any issues. But he wasn't like right on the beach or anything, so. I had a friend of mine many years ago. I want to say in 2004. He lived in Venice. He still lives in Venice, in an older house that was, I think, his mother-in-law's. A really, really small house. And they evacuated him. And they evacuated him to Orlando. And the hurricane turned, didn't hit Venice, and went right to Orlando. And he was staying at a La Quinta Inn. I remember he told me, he said he woke up and the freaking tiles, I don't know if you know what a La Quinta Inn, but it has a faux Spanish or faux Southwest type of look to it. And, it's has a blue roof with like blue ceiling tiles. And it said that the storm took a bunch of the steel and ceiling tiles and flew off, and it destroyed his car. So he evacuated from a safe place. Actually ended up going somewhere more dangerous, and it destroyed his vehicle. If he would have just stayed in place, you just never know. You just never know. So you can understand some people not wanting to leave their houses. It's easy to say about others, but difficult to do personally. Yeah. We've thought about leaving before, but I thought for sure we'd be out of power. We lost power for about 55 minutes on Thursday morning. I was going to film, and then I heard it gusty, and I'm like, I don't want to get everybody here. And then I disconnect for some reason. So I just never even went on Thursday, but it really was no issue. I was expecting to lose power for a day and a half or something like that, and it never happened. I think the fact that there was no rain helped, and it got the crews out there quicker. So they did a good job. Because like all the power lines in my neighborhood are all underground, but the feeders go in between trees. Because, this county is run by a bunch of Ewoks that don't want to cut any tree. I'm not an anti-tree. They just don't, your power lines don't need to go in between them like a forest. So if there's a little bit of a gust, they get knocked down. Every time there's a gust, we have to fix these. Hey, how about cut the trees back or put them underground or, something. So you don't have the same problem over and over again. Cletus. That's what I call them. I call them the Ewoks that run this county. This was flooding all that. I wouldn't want to leave the house to looters and such. It's got to be a rare event to have looters, but, Tony, question the contour scheme for honeys, okay? Was it just the sand color and the blue-gray color, or did it have 3 colors? I think it always had 3. But you better look it up, because apparently one thing that happened is a lot of this things that are in museums and stuff are wrong. And it's kind of like a self-perpetuating prophecy. So I understand that everybody was using the wrong paint scheme. And you could probably find, I haven't done really any research on it, but I know a friend of mine who has, he mentioned about that it was the scheme that actually did not have any blue, that it was always a series of grays. So, maybe one of the gray colors is kind of like, that instead of blue, shadow gray, by the way. I don't know exactly what it is, but I bet you could find in the internet what it is. So I haven't really looked into it, and I hate to just look at it now and then jump on the first thing and then end up being a site that's not. Because that's the thing about the internet. The internet has a lot of really good information, has a lot of misinformation too. So you got to kind of sift through and find out what's true and what isn't. And just going to the first thing that comes to isn't always get you there. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. But the way I understand it is it actually is not, when we were kids, it was this, it was a sandy color, and it was like a dark brown, and that was it. But I'm not sure that's exactly, there's no color in it that's like this. This is like duck egg blue on the bottom. Not even duck egg blue, sky blue on the bottom of a hurricane or something like that. Yeah, honeys are cool though. And their gun, there's nothing wrong with that gun. It's plenty good for the desert. It's as good as the 2-pounder. But if you look at any books that I have, like on tanks, those books that have been around forever, Ballantine stuff and things like that, all those colors on all the tanks are all wrong based on the information that they have. Let's paint the ends in this and we should be good for this. Let's do this. Add a little bit of white. I'm gonna put my glass so I can step away from it and see what it looks like. Sometimes you can be too close to something to see what's going on. Let's see. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. And the other one, got boxes and all kinds of shit on there. A jerry can, which has really good detail. It even says US. It says G US like a gallon. That's pretty cool. 2 of those boxes, which almost look like shell boxes. Be right back in a jiff. I started watching a biography of Van Manstein earlier. Ah, yes, the guy that his kids we thought was awesome, but apparently he's not that good. I don't know. Who knows what to believe anymore? Should check out Australian Armor and Artillery Museum on YouTube. They refurbish tanks, show the smallest parts. I keep seeing a similar color pattern for honey, so I'm just going to go with it. Seem to match a real photo of a honey in North Africa. Should be okay to use. Man, there's got to be all kinds of cool stuff. All right, here we go. Time to use my Google Foo. We're going to do a search for honey tank. Desert Counter, C-A-U-N-T-E-R, I believe is how that scheme is called. And we're going to go to images. I don't like the red and white horizontal stripes because it just kind of like throws everything off. I think it's actually a couple of grays. Hold on a second here. Counter camouflage. Counter scheme, counter camouflage. Okay, if you go, Vallejo actually makes a set of paints for the scheme. And none of them have any blue in it. Yeah, do a search for counter camouflage. Do whatever the hell you want. As long as you're happy with it. But that blue is not sky blue as we used to think as kids. It's but if you like the way it looks, then roll with it. They'd be zigzag stripes. Not really. They're kind of almost like refracted light or something like that. It's super cool though. I mean, that's the neat thing about the desert is, you know, Africa Corps. Everybody likes the Africa Corps, and the British are just as cool. They've got cool paint schemes and stuff like that. I think it's a great theater. It's a classic. I remember that one picture as a kid that I saw in a book where there was a British tank crewman. He was frying eggs on his tank. I'll never forget that. So hot you could just crack open an egg and fry it right on the tank. It always tastes sandy, I'm sure. All right, we got 2 wooden boxes we got to paint down there. Let's grab our... Yeah, counter always looks cool. I love the British paint schemes on things in World War II. I love their Western approach. I love all their destroyer schemes that they had, the Western approaches, colors, and all that stuff. My favorite battleship is a Rodney with a big old splotchy, I forget what the measure is right now. I haven't painted that stuff in a long time. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. There's a place here in Virginia that I would love to go to, and I forget exactly what it's called. It's something like the Army Armored Forces Museum, like AAF or something like that. And it's in a place called Danville, Virginia. It's right in the border between Virginia and North Carolina. And it's like a private collection of, I think it's over 100 tanks, AFVs, I guess would be probably more accurate. But it's only open on Fridays and Saturdays. I'd love to hit that on the way from to Historicon one time, but it Friday Saturday doesn't really work. You're going to show up to Historicon late if you're going to go to that place, like really late. So and that's if you went on Friday. So, but they got all kinds of collections there. Including an M103, which is that heavy tank that was post-Korea, an Eisenhower period heavy tank with a 120 on it. You've seen men cook their sea rations with a tank's exhaust. Wow. Something I found out today was that Chamberlain died in 1940, same year he stepped down as British Prime Minister. He did? Huh. Yeah. He stepped down before the Battle of Britain. I guess he didn't get peace in his time. I mean, who knows what kind of decisions those folks had to make. Nobody wanted another war. I'm reading a book right now on Kiev 41 still, and it's dancing all around I wanted it for the encirclement battles and the tank battles and all that stuff, and it's like doing all the political, strategic, and it's actually kind of interesting considering it's not what I got the book for. It's all right. The narrator is pretty decent, so I'll be doing Audible stuff on World War II there for a while. Stuff that, more detail than, or maybe theaters that, just something to listen to on the way to work. Don't really listen to them while I paint. I do this, which helps honestly keep me on track a lot better than if I was listening to something. But you've seen men cook their sea rations on tank's exhaust. So women can't cook? Oh. Tank exhaust. What tank exhaust? Were you a tanker, Kevin, or were you just operated with tanks? I don't remember. I think you said before what you were. And if so, what tanks? Probably M60s, I'm going to guess. There's a ton of real good documentaries on YouTube. Just tons of great stuff. It's actually overwhelming. There's also a lot of garbage, but there's a lot of really good stuff on there. A lot of stuff on modeling vehicles and paint schemes, and some of it you can see, okay, let's just fast forward to the end, see how it turned out. Oh, I like that. All right, now I'll watch the beginning and see how we got there. There's no point sitting through a 30-minute video when you don't like how they turned out. And I also don't like watching stuff that seems to be biased. He was a combat engineer. It was an M60. It was at Fort Hood, 2nd Armored Division. Is it true they got rid of the Armored Division? They went to some weird ass brigade type something or another. 2nd Armored, yeah, the 2nd Armored in Normandy. I found out that they had a lot of the tanks, including these, that were painted in black over olive drab with some camouflage. But then they didn't have stars on them, so I don't want to do that. It just looks like I just kind of threw them together. But I do like the scheme. I just don't like that they don't have any stars on them. Even one that I've seen. So they do look good. Combat engineer. They don't have flamethrowers, right? Anymore? They did away with those things, right? Not like I'm a flamethrower operator in the combat engineers. Yeah, I don't think that's a thing anymore. Clinton got rid of the 2nd Armored Division. Only thing I don't like about U.S. Armored Division is their division markings just look dumb to me. Those triangles with the three colors. That's just lame. They could have done so much better. I mean, the infantry divisions had good symbols. I specifically like the 45th. It has that the Phoenix, the Thunderbird. Germans used any of the French tanks they captured? Oh yeah, every one of them. Every one of them. From the FT-17s that were from First World War vintage, that they used them for anti-partisan duties, to Somua S-35s, Char-B. I think they put a flamethrower in a Char-B. There's a couple of Char-Bs that they put a flamethrower instead of the 75mm gun in the hull. Lots of Hotchkiss 35s and 39s. One whole armored division, the one that was on Normandy, the 25th Panzer, had a very high percentage of French vehicles in it. Very high percentage, including the self-propelled guns and their Panzerjägers. Had some Marder 1s, which you never hear about Marder 1s, but you would think that a Marder 1 is a Panzerjäger 1, and it's not. A Marder 1 is a I forget if it's a Hotchkiss or the other one that I get mixed up, with a open top with a 75mm gun in it. But no flamethrowers in your unit. Yeah, you wouldn't want to be that. They used the armored car. I'm trying to pick which one it is. One of the armored cars was equipped, one of the SS divisions, and Barbarossa was equipped with them. It was a pretty decent armored car that had a 25mm gun in it, which sounds really lame, but it's a really long 25mm gun. It's actually pretty decent. I'm not looking at it right now, whether it's an AMD or a... But even the best French tank they had, which arguably could be, you know, the best all-around French tank would probably be something like a Samua 35. Still has a one-man turret. And a one-man turret, you've got the tank commander is the tank commander and the gunner and the loader. He's doing it all. And so he doesn't have a whole lot of time to, you know, keep abreast of the whole situation while he's loading and firing his own gun. So, Panhard, there you go. That's the ones. Yep. The Panhard 178s, I think. They're pretty modern armored car. They captured a bunch of them. They sent them out to the Eastern Front. And actually, one of the scenarios that I have for skirmish campaigns has two of them in it. And one of the SS divisions actually had them out there, and I forget which one it is, Das Reich or Liebstendart. I don't remember which one had them, but just a spare parts nightmare. You know, we have a breakdown. What is it? It's a truck. All right, well, who makes it? I mean, I think I read somewhere that different makes of trucks that the Germans had in Barbarossa was like over 100 different makes of trucks. It was just ridiculous for spare parts and stuff. So, not exactly a combination to be efficient, or I guess that's a good thing. It's a good thing that they weren't more efficient. What's the other one? Hotchkiss, the H-35 and the H-39, and there was another one that wasn't the same number. There's also the slow, kind of like the T-26s of the French army. Of course, they had a shitload more armor than a T-26. Which one am I forgetting? Renault. That's what it is, the Renault. R-35s and H-35s and H-39s. Yeah. All those were all T-26 things with one-man turrets and just a ton of armor. I mean, they had more. I think they had more armor than any German tank, even those light tanks. Hussein had many old tanks. I saw a dead T-34 at the route from Kuwait. Really? Man. Maybe he was playing a war game in 1-to-1 scale. AMR, that's another one. Yep. You don't remember that stuff. You're looking it up. Joel's doing rapid fire in 15 mil, and he's doing the French campaign. Which, honestly, some of the French tanks are pretty cool. They use, like, playing card symbols and stuff. So you have these big tank with a big gun, and then you see, like, a heart on it. Like, oh, ain't that sweet? He wants to be my Valentine. During the French campaign in 6 mil. Oui, oui. What gear did the French use for their infantry when they invaded Normandy? You know, de Gaulle's division. Did they use standard M1 helmets? I bet they did. Or did they have the Adrian helmets? Because we know they use Shermans. Who would it be? Leclerc It would have been Leclerc. Yeah. Whatever his division, whatever his Free French Armored Division or whatever. U.S. gear? Okay. Yeah. And I guess the Poles use British gear for their infantry. French tanks equipped with radios? I think very few. I think very few. When I've played France 1940 stuff, like, only thing you got to go against some of those French tanks is basically like if you've got a Stug, see, I remembered, a Stug B or something like that, with the hollow charge 75 millimeter round. Other than that, they're damn near impregnable, you know, with anything that's mounted on a tank. You know, you got to call in the 88s or the Stukas. Got to Stuka them. German tanks all had radios. Sounds right. That's their big advantage. Coordination stuff. That's their big advantage they had. I think the British tanks all had radios too. It would just be the Japanese, the Russians, and the French. And I bet the Italians probably didn't have radios in all their tanks. All right. Water. Plenty? Okay. Now, I took these tracks off on purpose, so I should be able to put them back on, and this is the ground color that they had on here. We're going to end up dry brushing them anyways. This is about to pop off, so I need to be careful not to... Look how poorly attached that is. This is a pre-made... This is a pre-made thing. And that's really poorly attached. So we'll have to hide that somewhere. After doing those separate link track, I actually prefer that. There's a rubber band track, even though these rubber band tracks aren't bad. BEF also didn't master tanks like the Germans. Yep. Is this a brown one? Yeah, it's just a brown one. Let's get this olive green color. Do the tank and the little jerry can in that. Is it 10? I probably need to be shutting this down soon. I actually don't mind grabbing this tank as long as it's by the right running gear, because if I scuff up any of the paint on there, I still have to do dusting and stuff on it. Not dusting, but dry brushing on it. Now, honestly, I'm really happy with the way this turned out, considering this is zero airbrushing. There wasn't a campaign inside of Command Decision other than the first one, right? I think there was only one. Only the first one. You got that Hurtgen, not the Hurtgen Forest, the crushing the Siegfried line or something like that scenario where it's like, man, this isn't being fun to play. I think that the Germans have like one battalion of Stugs, and that was it. Stugs, damn it. And that's it. No armor for them other than that, if I remember correctly. All right, we're going to call this a night because I'm pretty tired. But anyways, we'll pick this up back later. We only have a tarp there and finish that jerry can. Got to figure out what I'm going to do with the headlights, how I'm going to paint them. I don't mind them looking a little cartoonish because it is a gaming piece. But okay, folks. Well, thanks for stopping by, and we'll do it again later in the week. You guys have a good night, and happy Hump Day tomorrow. Just saw a video said Russia used Japanese and Koreans at Stalingrad. Maybe. It's on YouTube, so it must be right. I honestly don't know. I'm sure they tried to use everybody at Stalingrad. Yeah, I just read something the other day that the Germans had basically captured 90% of the city. It's that last 10% holding out that was the problem. So, okay, folks.